Hi, my name is Dr. Michelle Maidenberg, and we're going to be interviewing high school seniors. So as everyone could imagine, it's been, during this pandemic, been really challenging. And it's important for us to hear from our high school seniors and know what their experience is like and give them a voice. So we're here talking to each of them. So I have some questions, some pointed questions, and, I invite you to respond to it. And again, we're doing this on Zoom, so hopefully sometimes people kind of talk over each other. So we're going to try our best, to do it so that we can hear each person and really hear their feelings about it. So the first question is, this has been going on for a couple of weeks, and obviously there's kind of no end in sight at this point, right? And there's a lot of uncertainty. So I wanted to hear from each of you what this has been like for you, how this has impacted you personally, and especially given, again, that, kind of going online, of course, at the end of your senior year. At this point, I'm assuming that most of you, right, that there's no graduation and no prom, etc. So what that's like too. So who would like to start?
I could start. I think that, like, for me personally, the craziest thing is just that I could have had my last day of high school and, like, no one knew it was their last day. So it's kind of just weird not having that closure.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that we might never get closure, like we might just never see some of those people again, and we didn't really get to, like, take it in and know that we were going to have, like, the ending point that we kind of worked for, like, throughout our 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I also feel like we worked so hard for like 4 years, and for it to just, like, we don't even get to experience those things that we were working for, like prom and graduation, like just to, like, walk across the stage and get our diploma. Like, I don't know, it feels really unfair, but I mean, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, I feel like we didn't, like, even when we kind of realized that we'd have to stop school, we didn't realize then, like, how serious it was going to be. Like, we were like, oh, maybe we'll have, like, a week off, but it will be fine. But, like, it just got taken away, like, so quickly. And, like, it's not like there's any, like, serious danger, like, to us in our houses, so it feels fine. But then we know, like, there's a serious danger once you go outside. So it's just really weird.
Yeah. It's so interesting. This past week I was seeing, like a child in therapy, because I'm a psychotherapist, and they referred to the virus as a boogeyman, and I thought, right, that's a good metaphor, because it's like lurking and you never know when it's going to get you. So it's sort of like that. Like, we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know how many people are going to get sick. We don't know how many people it's going to impact, right? So I think your point is so well taken. Like, you think, oh, it's just going to be a week. I'll get back to school. Well, everything will be fine. And then time just passes, right? Anybody else?
I mean, go ahead.
Okay. So, like, we were finally second semester seniors, and this is kind of the time where it was supposed to be easy for us, like, we were finally trying so hard, like, we were getting accepted into colleges, and now we kind of don't get to spend it with our friends for the rest of high school. So
for me, socially, it's not really about the school part as much as I'm going far away to college, and, like, I know some of these kids who are, like, my best friends. I'll come back and, like, I don't know, but I know that I have that time with them for like the next 4 months. So I don't really know what the future holds, and none of us do, but it's for that to be, like, taken away, it's not good. So
And any thoughts from Eddie or Victoria?
Oh, you go.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's very difficult not being able to be with my friends, and even the social aspect at school. I didn't realize how I took everything for granted. How I would be sitting in class and just complaining, wanting it to be over, and now I'm here and I'm like, oh, I wish I didn't. I wish my past self didn't complain so much about going to school every day. And yeah, it's a little bit of regret, sorrow. It's a mix. It's a lot of different feelings, but yeah.
For me, it just feels like it just hasn't really hit me at all yet, because I remember in the beginning of it, well, none of us even thought that we'd even get school off probably. We all thought we'd still stay in, maybe get a week off. And then the next week, it's just a whole a whole problem, and it keeps escalating, and it just kind of seemed out of nowhere. I think no one even saw us coming.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah.
I don't think we would want to see this coming, right?
Yeah, no.
In some ways, it's better to be in denial, right? Until it's really here. So what has been, because I'm hearing a lot of different challenges that are coming up for each of you. And, if you really had to think about what was or what is, right, your biggest disappointment or your biggest fear, and I know somebody even mentioned to me that their concern is that this is going to go so long that it's going to affect their ability to go to college,
Yeah.
in the fall. So that also comes up, right? Like you've waited all this time to go to college, and then like what's going to be in September, right? Or I should say August. So what if you had to like earmark, like kind of the biggest disappointment or fear that you have that you're sitting with, what would you say?
Personally, yeah, I'm so devastated about like missing school and everything, but really I'm like very nervous because I have a very close relationship with my grandparents and my family who are older. So one of my biggest fear is them getting it and not being able to see them, because usually during this time of the year, well, they go to Florida for the year and then they usually come back to New York for the summer. So it's very upsetting not being able to see them. And that's really the main reason why I'm like sticking to the rules and like staying in my house so I can see them as soon as possible. So yeah, that's really disappointing for me and my family, because I usually enjoy spending time with my family during the holidays and this time of the year.
Yeah, I think that's one of my biggest fears too, because my grandparents were like, all my family were planning to come for graduation and prom, and like my grandparents don't travel a lot, so they were going to come up for June and like stay for like graduation and I don't want them to come if they're if they're possibly at risk of getting like this disease, because I know so many people who have been so affected by corona because it happens so fast where it's like devastating. And I feel like for my family to like possibly be put at risk, like it's just a horrifying feeling. So
I think for me, like the biggest thing that's making me upset right now is like the unknown. Like we don't know at all when it's gonna end, and like I like to stay positive and think like, oh, we'll be back to school like May 1st, May 15th, but like I don't know if I'm making like having too high hopes and like gonna be let down like so hard. So like the unknown is like really getting to me.
For me, it's like if this drags on, like I don't want to miss out on those last moments with like my friends, my family. And like that's the big thing. I just want to be able to experience that before I go away.
Yeah, I feel like after this year, we're becoming adults and we're kind of off on our own. So now this is our last chance to be a kid, be with our friends. So that's definitely hard. But I agree about my family. Like my grandparents, they live in Texas. So it's I only see them in the summer really. So I don't know if I'm going to get the chance to see them this summer.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Grace that like the unknown is really like what's like making me feel the most like upset, because obviously as seniors there's so many things on the line for us, whether it's going to be our college getting pushed back, so a lot of people are worried about that, or just not having graduation. I feel like that's probably my biggest thing, because like it's just moments that like you've been looking forward to for so long, like talking to your friends, oh, this is what I want my prom dress to look like I'm so excited for this at graduation, like I hope I'm in honor society, like all that stuff. And now it's like we have it all, but we might not get to ever practice it. So like it's just so scary, like we don't know.
For me, my biggest fear is probably just if one of my family members gets it, because I know this is a disease that could take you in days even. And my dad's a heavy smoker, a lot of underlying issues. So if something bad were to happen to him, then that would put a lot of pressure on my mom, and eventually just make it hard even just paying for college, just stuff like that too. So that's something I worry about.
Yeah, I feel like what Eddie was saying, like that's another big thing is like college. Like for me, I know a lot of people, like we didn't have time to visit a lot of our schools, and most of us hadn't even made our decision yet. So then it's like, am I going to go to a school that I've never visited, or a school that I know that I liked, but I might like these ones more? Are my parents going to lose their job? Will I even be able to afford this college? Will I be able to afford college at all? So it's just like a very inconvenient time financially, and like for such a big decision.
Mm-hmm. And also, you all are not supposed to be worrying about things like that, right?
Mm.
Right. And it's real because it's out there. Like, you can't help but ignore it. Right.
Yeah.
So even though this has been so, I could understand, like, so disappointing and challenging for all of you, I'm wondering also if there's anything that you've learned about yourself through this process. Any takeaway, that, and first talking about yourself, like if there was anything fundamentally that you've learned about yourself, because I'm assuming that, given you're only high school students or graduating high school students, that you haven't experienced, hopefully, that much adversity. And this is truly a big challenge, right? So any surprises about the way you reacted or have reacted, and learning about yourself, and then we'll talk afterwards about just in general, but let's just talk about you now.
I feel like I've been kind of shocked. The first week after it happened, I was so upset. Like, I was just like taking it out on my family members, and I was just like crying constantly. Like, I was just like a mess. But I feel like this week, like, I've kind of just learned how to cope with like just life more, because I feel like this is the first time that I've been hit with real adversity, like living like where I live. And so it's just like been interesting to see how I like have dealt with that. Like, I've started doing more productive things, like even just like doing this interview, like I started working out, just putting my time into more productive things, and like having more of a schedule rather than just sitting around and moping all day.
Yeah, I think for me, I haven't been too sad about it. Like, of course, I realize how devastating it is. But for me, I like to like look at the positive side of it, and I like to kind of, like Maddie was saying, I like to maybe put my time into things that maybe I wouldn't have had time to do before, like working out or schoolwork or reading or just anything that I maybe have like pushed aside because of like time management. And also, I think back to what Victoria was saying before, she was talking about how like she has like a higher appreciation for school. And I have definitely come to appreciate school a lot more, because like there are some people that don't even get to go to school, and for us it's like an everyday thing, and for it to be taken away so suddenly has been kind of hard to deal with, but I definitely appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I've learned a lot about like how fast things can happen and then how it matures you. Like for me, like most kids, like the week before we got school taken away, we were like, why are we even in school? Like, this is so dangerous. More like focusing on the fact that we just didn't want to be in school. And then how serious it's become. We're realizing like, wow, like obviously school is like, we want to be there. We want like, it's more like of the maturity of like, this is a serious issue, and like, we want back our lives, but like, we can't have them back just yet. And also like what Victoria and Becca were saying about like how appreciating everyday life, like the fact that like we can't even really like go to like the bagel store or go get coffee without like really thinking if it's gonna like be a real problem for us. Like that's something that I never thought would get taken away, and it like did.
So I think you're also talking about appreciation for your freedom,
Yeah.
right? Like your fundamental freedom. Like, and like you were saying before, there are people in certain countries, right, because of a lot of different reasons, that don't have freedom like we have here in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm.
I think that I've come to, like, since we've been out of school, come to appreciate my teachers a little bit more, or a lot more, because in school, obviously we take them for granted because we have them to teach us all the information. But now, like, we have APs coming up, and we have so much that we still haven't learned. So like, they're trying their best to teach us what we still need to learn, and like, I've learned how hard it is to do it on your own. So like, it's hard not having them there for us all the time.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Definitely now I've just come to appreciate a lot more things, because just this kind of took away most of our most of the things we have now, and we kind of have to just realize that as we get older, we're just kind of have to just roll with the punches, I guess, and there's just nothing you could do about certain things, but it's just good to keep like a positive mindset and just be grateful for what we have now.
Mhm. And Andrew and Victoria?
Yeah, basically a lot of the same. I'm just kind of now just trying to focus on the positives and be grateful for what I do have. It really makes me appreciate how lucky I am to be in the situation where I am, because upon watching the news and reading a lot of articles, we are very fortunate compared to a lot of other families and people in our even close to us in our community. Like, not, I just can't imagine not even having a place to live, or like having to be in a shelter during this time, or like not knowing where their next meal is going to come from. Just makes me appreciate my family and everything I have, which I usually take for granted.
For me, or for all of us, like, it sucks, but I've tried to look at the positives too, and like I've just been a lot more productive at home, and I just have so much time that I get so bored that I do things that I really would never do. And I don't know, I'm discovering new things that I like.
Like what?
You know, I I have a snake.
Mm.
I got a snake over the break, and I've just been like, let him crawl around my neck and stuff like that.
Snake, okay.
Or wooden snake.
Did your parents allow you to get it right just because of all this going on? Was that it?
Yeah.
Oh,
A
really?
snake and a turtle, and I was like, I'm really lonely because I have no siblings, so I was like, I need one. You know what I mean?
Okay. How is that being, I assume everybody else has siblings. So Andrew, you're an only child?
Yeah. I got a cat, a snake, and a turtle. So like I got 3 brothers, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Uh-huh.
To keep you busy, huh? During the day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. You have very generous parents, it sounds like. And who's taking care of those pets while you're off at college, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
I haven't figured that out yet, but probably my mom.
Okay. Uh-huh. So last question, is there anything that it would be helpful to let people know out there, right? We're doing this, we want people, to hear you, or even like fellow, senior high schoolers, like, what do you want to say to them, right? Or what do you want to convey? Or what message do you think it's important for people to know out there during this really challenging time, and also just, based on your own experience? Like, if we're doing a PSA, like, what would you want to say?
I definitely want to emphasize the importance of staying home during this time and not going out, because I do see on Snapchat a lot of people don't understand and aren't taking this seriously and are going out with friends and doing what they would normally do, but meanwhile they don't realize that by them going out, that just makes everything so much longer. So they're complaining about this situation, meanwhile they're doing everything to make it worse. I just think that people should really take this seriously and stay home. And yeah, I think it's really terrible, and it's selfish of people not going out. I think it's really selfish if people go out and they're infecting, because the scary thing about this disease is that you don't need to show symptoms to be able to pass it on. So someone can be a carrier, and you go out and you infect those people, and they don't know. And yeah, I just think it's really important to stay home and take care of yourself as well as other people.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like that would be definitely the main thing, because that's the most important thing, is that everyone just stays safe and healthy, and like staying home is all we can do, and we're all in this together. Like a lot of people are like, this sucks, like I'm going through senior year, like I just want to see my friends, and they're just doing what they want to do, but we're all going through this. Literally everyone in the entire country, people across the world are going through this, so we all just have to get through it together. And then to like schools, I would say, don't cancel these events, postpone them, even if it has to be in August, July, even if it has to be next year, like when we get back from college, like host our prom. Like I feel like that's one other thing that I would say.
That's a great idea.
I definitely agree with Maddie and Victoria. Like, stay home. You need to think about other people, but also, I would say just don't take anything for granted because you never know how quickly everything can change. So just appreciate everything that you have when you can.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with like all that. Like appreciation, staying home, all that stuff is super important. And like another view of it is like don't like undermine people's like emotions about it, because I feel like a lot of people are like people have had it much worse. Like all you have to do is stay home, like it's your senior year, like whatever. Like other people went, like other generations went to war and stuff, and it's like yes, but this is also hard. Like it all is horrible, but this is also hard. And I just like don't like when people are like, don't, it's not that bad, and I'm like, but it is, and I can be upset as long as I'm like staying safe and like staying home.
I think it's also important to like, because I noticed in like my town, a lot of restaurants are like being hit and like a lot of small businesses. And I think that it's important to like, if you can try to help like the businesses that like are depending on people to like come to their restaurant. Like I know that my family tries like every week to like order food and like try and like obviously not go to the restaurant, but like to order food and like maintain like these smaller businesses, because I know that like for my family they can work from home, but like a lot of people can't, and I think that it's important to like try your best to help these smaller businesses and restaurants if you can.
I'd say just do your part and really get through to your grandparents and make sure that they don't go out. Because I know mine and a lot of other grandparents or old people are just like really stubborn sometimes. And mine are like still leaving the house, and I'm really trying to get through to them. I'm like, I'll bring you anything. I'll do anything you need. Just please stay home, because if you get this, it won't be good. So just like really try to get through to all of them and make sure that you're not going out, and do your part and help them if they need it.
Eddie, were you going to say something?
Oh, just definitely an emphasis on staying inside, because you may not think it's a big problem yet, but say someone in your family gets it, then you'll realize like this is a serious problem and you don't want to wait till that moment, I guess. So just do your part, stay inside.
That's great. So I'm going to add two more things before we end. And I'm going to say, besides the gratitude part, which is so important, it's also being in the present moment. So we don't know ever, I'm going to say, life unfortunately is full of human suffering, right? And we don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes from now. And we don't know what's going to happen in a half hour from now, ever, ever, ever. So all we know is today, right now, right? And we're safe in this moment. Like all we know is this moment right now as we're talking, right? So how important it is also to just be in the present moment and have gratitude for that, right? And then the second thing, which I have to say, because it's it's so important, is part of the problem, which I'm sure you all realize too, is that this country, there's many states that are not adhering to stay at home rules and policies because of the senators who are not passing policies for stay at home. So we have currently about 9 states that are having their citizens go out and about. And that's directly impacting all of us, right? So in terms of advocacy, like, we all have to do our part in really advocating that we're all on board with this, the whole entire country. And that's a big problem. So I had to say that because that really gets me. So are you any last minute things before we close?
Oh yeah, I just want to say one more thing. I also think it's important to like take care of yourself and like call your friends on the phone and FaceTime them. Like for example, me and my friends have made it like very important to us that every night we Zoom, all of us, we go on Zoom, or a lot of us actually live very close to each other and we go on walks and we make sure we all wear gloves and masks and we stay 6 feet, but we go on walks together outside and we FaceTime. So yeah, I think it's really important to think about yourself and take care of yourself and call your friends, go on the phone with them, because just because you can't be with them doesn't mean you can't remain social. And yeah, I think that's really important.
That's a great point. Yeah. And I could tell you, it was interesting. One of my very close friends her daughter, unfortunately, was supposed to have her bat mitzvah.
Mm.
Yeah, so they rented an RV. You know what an RV is? One of those big vans. And they came this morning to each of like her close friends and surprised her, like had like a blindfold, and then she didn't know where she was going. But you know, why I'm raising it was really sweet. But what I wanted to raise was, you know, she's her mother is one of my closest friends, and her, you know, our daughters are like best friends too. But I have to say, when I saw her, I literally like broke down. I had like tears streaming down my eyes because she was like 6 feet away from me and I couldn't hug her. And it was so painful, I have to say. And I didn't realize how painful it was to like have her in my presence and not be able to embrace her. It really like, it surprised me almost, you know?
That is exactly what my mom said when my friends we walked by my house.
Yeah, so we don't even realize like how much human contact, you know, just embracing somebody or being kind of present with them is so important. And when you don't have it, you're like, wow, right? It's like, it really hits you. So thank you again. Much gratitude to all of you. And of course, I hope deep within my heart that you get, each and every one of you, get an opportunity to have that prom and that graduation like you so deserve, because you have no right for that to be taken away from each and every one of you. And of course, that you start college and that you thrive and are successful, and that your families, of course, are safe and healthy throughout all of this. Okay, and grandparents too. So thank you again, and we'll be posting, and you know, we'll see the feedback we get. Okay, have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.